Thank you guys for coming to what is really a new space for us. I am beyond grateful to Greg and Laurel for providing their home for us to use for class. Now that Blanche and I will be moving back to the East Coast. It is hard to express what a great gift this is, because I know homes in Los Angeles don't often have much room, and making room available is not easy. But the great blessing of this is that people have stepped forward to allow this work to continue here, and all of you arriving today, so many of you coming to be here all the way in Pasadena, is really a true gift. And it was a gift that was really witnessed and acknowledged by something much greater than any of us individually. You're assembling here in a community of human beings willing to be still inside and to open to the unknown, the impossible, the beautiful, the still pointedness, the wonder, the mystery in one collective space is a remarkable thing. I'm in the process of being broken up into a billion pieces. It is the most uncomfortable experience ever, and yet, when I arrived here to sit and open to what this is, it was whole, it was complete, and it required someone who was no longer whole and complete. There is a spiritual process, if you will. In a way, it's called life. It's called being broken into pieces. It's called letting go of everything you hold dear, everything you hold to know as truth, everything you believe, everything that is certain to you. This is a process of either winnowing it away, or sometimes there are processes in the spiritual path that exploded into a kind of profound nothingness. Every time you think you've done it and it's over, a whole new dimension of it occurs. I share this with you because those of you who've shown up here today have set yourself on a path. Whether you know it or not, somewhere along the way a voice is going to come and say, what did you think you were looking for? What do you think you're doing here? What do you think you're going to get from all of this? Why would you come on a beautiful Sunday morning, when, well, it's a little rainy, but it's beautiful. Why would you come all the way to Pasadena to sit still for an hour? What do you think this leads to? You may think it leads to bliss. Everybody seems to offer that as the great attractor in spiritual practice. Bliss. And I promise you, you will get bliss. Certainly moments of bliss. I don't know that you will get unending bliss, and if you did, I would pray that you don't get bored with unending bliss. What I think we get in the end of all of this process is the experience of being alive. We get life. We realize as we go along, in a sense, that there's not even any getting. There's no arriving. There's no completion as such. The completion, and I'm sure you've heard this many times before, is this very moment. It doesn't get more complete than right now. And when you get in your car and you're driving back on the freeway, it won't get any more complete than that. The journey is endlessly complete to the degree that you are present tense and allowing yourself to be alive in the moment. There's a completion, but don't think of that completion as a sense of comfort and well-being. It's an extraordinary sense of simply being alive. Alive, here, present in what we call, on some level, reality. This is real. It is almost impossible to understand or grasp or find a way into what reality is. You can have ideas about it, theories, beliefs, cognitive pictures that tell you what it is to be real and alive. You can claim to know what it is, but everything that is a you having it will fall apart at some point. And it will fall apart because you are going to fall apart. Sorry. I know that sounds awful, but it is other than that. You are a temporary cohesion. And I say this to you not as an ultimate fact because I don't know, but I know that somehow you have come together as a physical being, and somehow I have come together as a physical being, and we are sharing what appears to be a space. And when we connect in a room like this, or even just as human beings hugging each other, something incredible is happening. And we know it to be incredible. When you hug someone that you care about or that you love, there is something in that moment that is transcendent of that moment. In other words, it's bigger than just two people hugging. Something is known. It cannot be cognated. It cannot be anything but maybe sung in opera, or maybe a great love song. What can you do with something that is that massive, that communicable, that real? And what can you do with that? Well, nothing really, except go, this is life. This is life. And what do you do with the pain? What do you do with the pain? I have been very blessed in my life to have very little pain, as most of us would call it. Physical pain, I've had my share, but just like you guys. I've lost people, I've lost parents, I've lost friends, all of that pain. It's part of the equation. I don't know why this very moment in my life is so disruptively painful. This moving away from you guys is really, really painful. Who is it that's feeling the pain? Well, it may be a collective thing. I don't know that for sure, but I know I am. And a part of me kept feeling this imperfection that I talked about last week, this imperfect teacher. How do I dare come here to teach a class to you about spiritual uplift, which is not a word I use a lot and don't even really believe exactly, but how do I come to teach about that idea when I'm falling apart and feeling so much pain and so much sadness and grief? And the only answer is, that's life. That's what it is. This is it. This is having and losing, getting and dispersing. This is the enormous dance that we are all in. And to think that one side of it is the right side and one side is the wrong side gets you mixed up in your head. It's all one massive undertaking. And you may feel when you hug someone. Jordan came over to my house yesterday, and Abby, and they brought his new granddaughters and nieces, twin daughters, to my house to take away some cribs and toys and spend a few minutes. Holding those little girls, hugging Jordan and Abby, and Malia, Lynn, all of this family of people suddenly involved in this new life, in the middle of falling apart, and my life being, I don't want to overstate it, but it feels like it's being shattered in so many ways. I know newness is coming, but this part's falling away. In the middle of all of that, this unbelievable beauty, this unbelievable joy of new life, of innocence, of miraculous being. Rudy used to talk about life and living, and he hated the idea of enlightenment. He hated the idea of a future anything. To Rudy, it was all about something he called growing. And it's a word I've had trouble with, growing, because it feels like growing has a kind of purpose and a completion, something you aim for. But growing is really about expanding. It's taking on more. Rudy said your spiritual life is this life. Your physical, material life is your spiritual life. So you need to live it in this huge, vast, dynamic way. So while you're getting rid of everything you love in your house and throwing it in the dumpster, and Jordan arrives with the little girls, and love and joy and loss and drama and all of this stuff going on, and your back goes out, and and the grandchildren are running around filling your life with joy and misery because they want something you don't have time to give them. There's all of this stuff happening, and I kept looking at it and going, am I failing? That I'm so uncentered in all this that I can't find my way through some of the pain? And then this bigger voice, Rudy's voice, called, this is growth. This is growing. This is expanding. This is what it feels like to be giving away everything and to be gaining everything. To be losing and winning at the same time. To be alive. One of the formative movies of my life was when I worked at the World's Fair in New York in the 1960s. And I worked at a booth because my girlfriend's father at the time had a concession there, and I was not a good guy. We used to get charged by the bottles that people took away, so I would steal them back, and I would end up with all these extra bottles, and then I would make this money and pocket it and walk away stealing all this cash. So you can understand that I'm not a perfect person. But at that place, they had an exhibit, a Johnson's Wax exhibit, with a movie by Francis Thompson called To Be Alive. And it was on 3 huge screens, and used to sit in a series of chairs, and a thing that got lifted up into the auditorium. And every time I had a lunch break, I would run over to watch To Be Alive. And To Be Alive was just this celebration of everything we know as life: birth, death, playing, fishing with your grandfather, I mean, you name it. And it would go on one screen and then another screen and another, and you show people from every culture of every world doing all of the same things. And I watched that movie with so much love, and at the end of the movie every day it said something like, to be alive is a wonderful thing. And I would break open inside, just break open and go, that is the ultimate truth. To be alive is a wonderful thing. And I would have tears about it, and I kept saying, if I ever became a filmmaker, I want to make movies that celebrate life, that make people feel being alive is a wonderful thing. And I got to make those movies. And I got to understand life on so many powerful levels. I even got to work for Francis Thompson, the guy who made that movie, and he gave me a private showing of it in his studio. So life brought me all these incredible things, and then Joshua, for my 70th birthday, took me to the Johnson's Wax Pavilion, where they're still showing that movie in Minneapolis. And I got to watch it again and feel again, to be alive is a wonderful thing. The message I have today is that we can talk about spiritual life, we can talk about growth, we can talk about trying to get to awakening and enlightenment. I kind of thought I had done that. I've talked about it for 10 years. Something in me blew apart, and the Bruce Rubin guy, as I knew him, just became such a minor player in a much bigger canvas. is all I can say, almost like there wasn't anybody. But of course there was a body, and I was married, and I had children and grandchildren and jobs and all these things, so you cannot completely disappear, but it's from a much bigger perspective that you have this remarkable life, and I have had a remarkable life and continue to. But what is happening in all of that is that there is something Rudy called, and I said it just a minute ago, growth. And growth means becoming more capable of encompassing the unencompassable, or of giving over to the unencompassable and not trying to hold any of it. Being blown apart into a billion pieces, which you are now watching in slow motion. This exploding character is speaking to you right now. And you can tell, I think, for all of the disintegration that you are observing, there's something whole coming through. I believe. I mean, you may all walk away and say, oh my God, what was he talking about? And that's okay, if that's what it comes down to. But what I'm trying to present energetically, if nothing else, is come to the table of life. Come to the smorgasbord, come to the dinner, find the things you love, enjoy what you love, live this life. This spiritual idea of growth means that you love it more, that you live it more, that you encompass it more, that you don't just give yourself over to sourness and sadness and grief. They're part of the picture. Yesterday, I could not believe how much I was grieving, and then the babies arrived in my life, and I'm in a place of such joy that is unexpressible. And it's all over the place. My grandchildren, my wife, my family, I'm surrounded by all of these things, and conflicts, huge conflicts going on in my family. And we had the whole family over for dinner the other night for the last time in this house that we have celebrated so many gatherings in for 35 years, and it was over. It was over. Joshua made a speech, my son, and then I realized I better make a speech. So I got up and made a speech. And but the speech it had such content. And I went, wow, these are the right words to the right people at the right moment. And it was so completing and so beautiful. But when everybody left at the end of this evening, our last time together in this space as a family, I kind of expected these little moments of thank you for everything you've ever done, and this has been so great, and I don't know how I can handle it. I thought it was going to be something big. It was like, see ya. Everybody, see ya. And I thought afterward, actually there were people that I may never see again, truly. And they're my family who I love. And I knew there was no better departure than just the usual, the day-to-day. The day-to-day of our lives is so remarkable, so remarkable. And it's okay to hate it, it's okay to fight it, it's okay to grieve, it's okay to want more than you have, it's okay to wish you didn't have what you'd have. It's all okay because it's life. It's this big thing, and there's no one who runs the show perfectly. You just are in it. Take the best dance steps you can, have the best partners you can find love any corner of the world that you can find it in, enjoy the little things that life brings you that are so wonderful. There are moments that will sparkle in such a big way that you will know more than you've ever understood in life about what this was, and you won't be able to put it in words. You won't be able to put it into even an idea or a thought. You will just go, holding the babies, holding my grandchildren. We took my grandchildren out for dinner the other night, and usually it's an ordeal. It's a total ordeal. The restaurant we go to, which we've been going to for years, is closing because CVS is taking it over. It's heartbreaking for everybody, but it says to me, Bruce, time to move on some level. Your favorite place is closing. And but they have a Laurel and Hardy thing on the wall with Laurel and Hardy dressed in chef hats that I've been looking at for 30 years. And I've always loved it and always thought it was wonderful. And I went up and said, can I buy this? And I wanted him to give the money to everybody who worked there. And I offered him a lot of money. And he said, sure, but he said, we need the money because we're in debt and we weren't supposed to be closing. And I didn't care. I took Laurel and Hardy home. They're going to hang somewhere. I don't know why I'm buying things at this moment in time. I have no idea. But they are two smiling faces, and I love Laurel and Hardy, and I love the humor that they brought to all the difficulties that they faced. Another horrible thing you got me into. You know, this is life itself. And my grandchildren sat at the table, and they played chess for 45 minutes. An 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. And my 5-year-old grandson, Elijah, made a drama out of saving the queen, saving the king, moving the pawn. It was like a story. And he was telling stories. And Talia was in incredible manipulation mode, figuring out exactly what move to go. They just learned how to play chess, but they were investing it with so much joy and interest. And it was like, for me, sitting with them going, who are these two people? They were never like this. They never had these qualities. They were always fighting at the table and wanting to go home and run around, totally focused. And then we got home, and it was 9 o'clock at night, or almost 9, and I suggested going for a walk around the block. I never thought they would go for a walk, but they did. And, you know, our blocks are long blocks. So we went for this long block, and they wanted to hold hands, and they were, I mean, it was the joy, the level of joy that comes out of those moments is worth it. And that joy is all over the place, guys. It's all over. And if you're missing it, if you're locked up in your mind going, it should have been, might have been, could have been, forget it. If the universe is coming to break you into a million pieces, you've got to find a way to say, okay. I feel a little bit, not to elevate myself, like I am Buddha under the bo tree with all of the monsters coming, with all of their knives and things to do their worst stuff. And that I'm Buddha giving a lecture at that moment to you guys and saying, this hurts more than anything I can possibly ever imagine. I cannot guarantee you it has a better outcome than death. I feel assaulted from so many sides. The loss of my house is beyond painful. The loss of the familiar, the loss of the comfortable, the loss of the things we built over all these years. I've lived in this house longer than I ever lived in my childhood homes, twice as long. All of this is falling away. It's in boxes, it's in a dumpster, it's going into dumpster, one thing after another. It's horrible. But I think if Buddha had given a lecture while he was going through the temptations and the terrors of his sitting under the bo tree, it would have sounded like this. I'm alive. I am alive. And something amazing is going on here. Does it have an outcome in the end? He had one. According to the story, Buddha became enlightened and walked around smiling for the rest of his life. I'm open to that. and if that's what happens, I will be the first to come back and report to you that it happens. And that gives you a kind of a goal, I guess, or at least an awareness that when this shit hits the fan for you, let it happen. Don't think you're being punished. Don't think this is the worst thing that ever happened in the world. Just trust it. Just trust it. So, one of the gifts I got from Rudy was the discovery that I had chakras, or energy centers, that were buried in my body. And we talk about them in the West in very vague terms, open-minded and open-heartedness, or having an instinctive sense in the belly. But these are real spaces. They've talked about them in the East for centuries, and they have people who've analyzed them and dealt with them. The one great thing about having a spiritual practice and spending a lifetime working in these areas is you end up whole. You have an open mind, your ego-minded dialogue with the world is expanded, and it has a kind of capacity to speak what it thinks and feels with clarity. You have a heart that can open to other people and even to yourself. You have a gut that can tell you, do this, don't do this, be careful, and it gives you the energy and the power to achieve. You have a sexual energy that can recreate you after you've been broken into a billion pieces, and you have an uprising energy that can carry you up and out of your uppermost chakra into a space of profound awareness. I cannot say that space is a space that can be articulated or contextualized. It's just an awareness, and we are that awareness. And the one thing I have learned over the course of this 50 years or so of sitting and meditating is that I don't know anything, but I am aware that I don't know anything. And that awareness is who I am, and that awareness is who you are, who we are collectively that. I got a note from a friend who has a little baby. Lena and Brad have a little baby, Ilya. And I had said somewhere, and it was not my words, although she attributed them to me, that when you have a baby, it's like your heart goes out of your body and into the living world through the baby. And she said later in that day, she was thinking, oh my God, we're all hearts. We're all the same heart living in the world. All of us. And that the love you give to the baby is easy. The love for other people is not as easy. But we are all aching hearts in the world. Every one of us. I don't know anyone who's not an aching heart. You can say, oh, I'm fine today. I'm fine. I'm okay. Great. You will be an aching heart. And the one thing you need, and we all need, is community, love, hugs, and reinforcement. And the best way to get it, forgive me if this is a cliche, is to give it. Give it out. Find it in yourself and share it, because everyone around you is hurting in some way. Everyone around you needs a hug. Everyone around you needs an appropriate hug, I guess, nowadays. But they do need hugs, they need connection, they need affection, they need your empathy. If you need it and you give it, more than likely it will come back. But if it doesn't come back, your mechanism for giving will take care of you. I won't be around on a weekly basis anymore. I will try to come back if I can a couple of times a year, very likely to this space if all goes well. And we can carry on this dialogue. I will probably keep teaching in New York. I don't know if anyone will come, but if they do, I will make these videos. We'll put them on YouTube. You can at least hear what's going on and hear the ongoing story. If I do get to the next phase of enlightenment, I can tell you, maybe. And maybe that will encourage you to keep doing what we're doing. But I would like to say, I hope the talks just keep you doing what you're doing, not for some goal, but so that you can enjoy the day you're in. If you can walk out of here and be happy, or be grateful, or to just go, wow, or to just touch the mystery of being, that's good. I'm happy. And if the classes provoke that, I'm happy. If we can't sit together as a group all the time, I would encourage you to sit by yourself. I have always told people, like Rudy told me, if you do this work, you should sit every day for the rest of your life. He told me to work on the chakras by drawing energy from his photograph. I know that's weird, but I know it has worked for me. You have photographs online of me and Rudy and Nityananda. You can do this work with them, the work I teach you. The important thing, the really important thing, is consistency and determination and a willingness to stay strong in a practice that will alter your life dramatically, but more importantly, and I tell you this because one day you're going to get old, it's a work about getting old. If ever this will have impact in your life, it's when you hit your 70s and 80s and onward. Because everything is going to fall away. Your businesses will fall away. A lot of your money is going to fall away. A lot of the people you care about are going to fall away. And this stuff will hit home. And if you know that you had a teacher who has been blown into a million pieces and somehow still is able to talk, you'll be okay. You will be okay. And beyond okay, you may actually arrive at a place that goes, this is the most amazing thing ever. This, whatever this is. I do not wake up any day without going, oh my God. Because I have never figured out what it is, but I know it is. That's a big deal. And I know the mystery is worth looking into. You'll never figure it out. We went to a magician show the other day. Really, it's too long a story but the problem with the show was that every trick was so mysterious, you finally just gave up trying to appreciate the mystery. Because everything he did was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and then finally you just went, okay. You know, you don't want the mystery to become that pat. The mystery has to surprise you. It has to surprise you. And every day will surprise you, I promise you. Every day. And when you start to get toward the end and they start to take it all from you, you're going to be amazed at what's left. You may not like it and you may cry, and trust me, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be miserable. It's okay to hate the fact that it's all being taken away. That's part of how it works. It's okay to be human. It's okay to bemoan the fact that you can't take it with you, except for the last line of Ghost, which I guess maybe should end this talk. The love inside, you take it with you. That's the only lesson I have to impart. If I'm wrong, so be it. But I think I'm right. Any questions?
Not a question, just maybe an observation. Seems like there was so much cosmic humor happening during class that even Rudy appears to be smirking behind you. But it occurred to me that, acceptance of perfection is probably harder than even accepting imperfection. And the only thing that can be destroyed is something that was created first. So we're constantly creating and destroying ourselves, our identity. And then like a cosmic joke came into my ear. It was like, do you know the #1 cause of death? Like worldwide, not just United States. Addiction to identity.
I've never heard that, but I think we're all scrambling. We're all scrambling to make sense of something that is relatively senseless. And the great thing about the comedians in the world is they show us it's senseless and we know it and we laugh. Laughter, somebody once said to me, is as close as most humans get to enlightenment. Just laughter. Anybody else? Okay. Let me say a few things. Boy. Trying to lay out the next week and month. We've had a good mover, come and estimate the move from our house to New York, and we have 2 houses. And his estimate came out at like $50,000 to move one of our houses. So it'll be double that, which is a lot of money to move stuff that you have. We don't even have room for all of it yet. We're talking about building room to encompass the furniture, which is maybe crazy. We are considering holding off building anything, moving now, and taking less furniture, less stuff. We are going to be meeting with the new owners of the house on Tuesday to see if they want any of this furniture. And we will be happy to make it available to sell them, I guess, TVs, couches, chairs, tables, etc. They may decide they don't want it. We will find out. If they don't, I will midweek write a letter to all of you offering whatever we have gratis if you take it away sooner than later. And if that doesn't work, then we will go to charities and give all of whatever we're not taking to the charity. You would be my first charity. And you don't have to have it, you don't have to want it, I mean, it's up to you if you need it. I mean, you know my house as well as I do. The white furniture in the living room, the dining table, the furniture in the family room, in the den, some of it in my office a little bit. There's just stuff that, in a way, we don't need to transport to New York, because the New York house is about the size of the house we have in San Rafael. And so the San Rafael furniture can pretty much fill that house. At some point, we're talking about building called a great room in what is currently the garage, and adding a barn that would be a garage next door. I'm tempted to do it tomorrow. We're probably gonna wait a while and make it progress, move more slowly, and live in the house for a bit and just make things work. So if you get a note from me this week, we will only have probably a day or two, maybe a day, to actually have you make those commitments. I don't know what your Thursday looks like, but that would probably be the day. And if we give a list of things to you in the email, you can actually say, I want that, and the first person who gets me an email saying, I want that, will be where it will go, if that's how it works. If, in fact, we change our mind in the next 24 hours and decide to take everything and just pay the money and bring it to New York and store it, then this whole offer will fall away. But I want you to be aware that it could happen. You can be thinking about it, those of you who know the stuff in the house. If you have a space for it or want it, you can let us know. I think much of it is very big furniture and maybe just too much for where most people live. But if that's of interest to you, it should be on the agenda. Classes are going to continue. They will be here. The same teachers and a couple of other new teachers along the way will emerge. I will come back most likely winter time to teach some more. You're always welcome. I really want to encourage you to keep coming, but I don't want you to do it out of obligation. I would like you to find the space in yourself that knows sitting together and doing nothing with other people has great power. And you will find yourself uplifted and expanded and enriched and enlivened by this experience in ways you do not get watching television, driving down the freeway, or going to a movie. You may get it at a sporting event. But mostly, this is a unique, remarkable experience available to you, and if you guys keep this alive, it will be alive. If you don't keep it alive, it will fall by the wayside, and that would be sad. But no guilt, trust me. If it's to fall by the wayside, life continues and all will be well. If you can stay together, it will be better. That's all I can say. Okay, is there anything else I should talk about or say? Yeah.
I thought class would continue at our house.
Yes, I'm sorry. Our house will be open until they take the furniture around June 22nd. There will still be class. There will be fewer pillows. Many of them have been left here. Some are going to be in the dumpster shortly. So if you need to sit on pillows, bring your own pillow. You will have chairs there up until the last day. So classes will continue every Sunday until toward the end of June. And then there will be one more class that I will teach that will be the last class and probably be pretty much like today's class in terms of what I have to say. But all I can say is it's there, it will continue, it will keep going on, and it can also begin to branch out, something we can talk about down the road, to other people's homes, other people can teach classes. But I love you guys so much. I'm so grateful that you have shown up for this today. I'm so grateful we've had all these years together. Some of you have been here for 35 years. That's remarkable. And I just want you to know I am endlessly grateful, and I will never not love you, and I will be available, Blanche will be available, as long as we're alive, to share our house with you in New York, to share time with you, to be on email, to be on the phone, whatever it is you want or need. If you have questions, I am there, and I will be happy to do the best I can to help you through whatever you need. Thank you.